There's no price that you have to pay for peace. Hi, my name is Amelie Rose, and if you are in the middle between who you've always been and who you are becoming, then this channel might be for you. When you are in a middle of a storm, when you have something that's not fully resolved, you don't know the ending of it yet, you don't have the answer to it yet, how much peace do you allow yourself to have? Some of us are living in our mind through things that haven't even happened yet, suffering through conversations that we haven't even had, preparing for answers that nobody has given us, or we are recovering from outcomes that haven't even happened to us yet. Meanwhile, today is still sitting in front of us, waiting for us to enjoy it, for us to live it. I had an important housing situation that was happening to us in our house, and I needed answers from people that weren't even available at this time. First, I started stressing and thinking and overthinking and all this other stuff, and then I paused. I grabbed the numbers that I needed to grab. I wrote down all the questions I needed to ask. And after that, I closed the book. After I did everything that I could possibly do on my end of writing that information down, that was it for me. I did my part. There was literally nothing else for me to do that I could even try to almost do until Monday. Because this was a weekend. This all happened on Friday. It was just when I started my softness journey. And so one thing that the coach had told us was there's always going to be a soft way to do something. So I was going to be a more feminine way to do something. And I had my entire life, the old me would have one situation happen. I would have got the numbers. I don't think I would have wrote the questions down. Maybe I would have. But I think that I would have also kept the fact that Monday, the issue for Monday was going to be happening on Monday. So I would have kept the issue for Monday. And almost like a little alarm going off would have been in my head constantly that entire weekend. So Friday, while I'm hanging out with my husband and my kids and hanging out, we're having fun, I would have been laughing and smiling, and I would be like a little alarm ringing. Don't forget about Monday. Oh, this bad thing can happen on Monday. Saturday would have happened, and then we would have been having fun again. I would take them out to the park and let them run, and while I'm watching them smiling, little alarm again, right in front of my focal point, in front of my forehead. Don't forget about Monday. Remember, Monday can happen. And this bad thing can happen too. Don't forget. Then Sunday would have happened, and we would have been having fun again and just getting ready for Monday and the week and just relaxing and calming. And then boom, another little alarm. Don't forget about Monday. Something bad can happen. Oh, remember, even this new idea can happen also on Monday. I would have thought about everything bad that can happen, and I would have made a plan. Okay, A all the way through Z. First conversation, ask other people about their experience in a situation and what happened to them, bad things, good things, whatever. Search some more, kept bringing up the problem over and over again with my husband and my kids, even in front of them, just ruminating over it. Even in the front of my mind. Preparation for me back in the day didn't make me feel safe. I needed to be overly prepared for whatever and all things that were going to happen. It's only all the things that I think would happen in my brain. The thing is, though, I wasn't preparing anymore. I was trying to arrive at every possible emotionally arrive at every possible outcome, bad, of course, that could happen in the future, before it even had a chance to really represent or present itself to me. This time, because like I said, I went through the coaching, I thought to myself, what would be a softer way to handle this? Myself. And I believe that a softer woman wouldn't have worried all weekend and come up with all these other solutions, be super prepared, overly prepared, all this stuff. I think a softer woman would just do her part, right? Get the numbers down, get the questions, write them all down, and then gift herself some peace. So instead of making this the most stressful weekend possible, like I would have in the past, out of default, to protect myself, of course, I asked myself, what if I made this the most peaceful weekend for myself? Peaceful as possible. And that was the experiment. All weekend I thought, how much peace can I give myself today? Sometimes it looked like taking a bath, going outside with my family, watching movies, breathing, going to the park with them, writing down my thoughts, making to recenter, come back to the present. Saturday is not Monday. Friday is not Monday. Sunday was not Monday. So whenever I would catch myself going back to my default of stressing, and remember that little alarm, like I said, the alarm didn't stop ringing. That's just what I've always done. So the alarm will go off and say, remember, don't forget, Monday's happening. It's the worst thing that can happen. Sometimes I would write them down And I would drop them off, my thoughts, at the daycare. I would write them down and drop them off at the daycare and release them and say, I'll see you on Monday. Sometimes I will remind myself and recenter myself to say, no, we're reaching for peace this time. What could be a peaceful thing we can do right now? I'm perfect, and that's why I would make the daycare up. So when I had too many of them, I would write those things down and give them to the daycare. Let them be there until Monday. I'm not going to handle that. Not on Saturday, Friday, and Sunday. Because it's not Monday. What I kind of always thought was like, peace couldn't happen until the problem was actually resolved. And my husband actually taught me through things happening or something was going on in his life. And then what he would do is he would just enjoy himself. Like, he'd be like, oh yeah, let's go and do this and that. And I'm like, whoa, that's kind of big. Or this is kind of big situation. He'd be like, yeah, but why should we not enjoy ourselves? And he's taught me through me being with him, like, something can happen and you can still enjoy yourself. Like, something can happen, and if it has to wait till that day, you don't have to think about catastrophe, about everything that bad that can happen, make plan A, plan B, plan C, which sometimes I think it is very useful externally. But I think that's why I've always done it externally. It has always been useful for me to be A, B, C, D, let me make it even an F to Z. But internally, it wasn't very useful because I would be worrying and stressing and worrying and stressing. And in this particular situation, didn't even matter if I had chosen to stress and worry and think about all the bad things and call people in search of answers, because literally the answer that I got was nothing I would have ever planned for. I learned with the situation that I can still have peace even though the answer is not resolved. Even though I'm still in the unknown and I don't know what's going to happen, I can still have peace. I didn't know what was going to happen on Monday. I didn't know what Monday would bring because Monday wasn't there. I tell myself when it gets there, I'll be there too. And we will handle what we got to handle. And make Friday, Saturday, and Sunday carry Monday. So I was carrying or suffering an imaginary Monday on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And those perfectly real days, if that makes sense. Monday genuinely did have a problem, but Friday didn't. Saturday didn't, and Sunday did not. I didn't want to allow the possible Monday steal a real Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from me. Not this time. And now I'm just wondering, what are you carrying maybe today that belongs to another day? Answers don't you have yet? What conversation maybe needs to happen but hasn't happened yet? Decision literally cannot be made yet until something else happens first and you're carrying right now. You've already done your part for this thing. All that you need to do. And you just have to wait. And I do want to say something I wrote down. Try to have the next step of waiting without punishing yourself for having to wait. Because sometimes the next step isn't doing. That makes sense for you guys. I wrote this down. I used to think peace was something I got after everything worked out. And now I'm learning that sometimes peace is what I give myself while I'm waiting to find out. I can do my part. I can prepare for what's actually mine to prepare for. And I can release the rest until it's time. Monday does not need me on Saturday. And if Monday brings something hard, I'll meet myself there. But until then, I don't have to make myself suffer just so I can feel prepared. I'm allowed to have peace before I have the answer. You are allowed to have peace before you have the answer. Me thought this. Until this is resolved, I need to keep it at the front of my mind so I'm safe. And the new me says, I've done my part. I don't need to emotionally babysit the problem until it's time to act again. My full desire for you is, if you can, even if you don't know how, you don't do it perfectly, like I didn't do it perfectly at all, just try to give yourself some peace. How much peace are you allowed to have? How much peace do you allow yourself to have? How much peace can you allow yourself to have in this situation of waiting, or in a situation that you're going through right now? Can you gift yourself some peace? Okay, love you, bye.